Hello everyone. This week we are reviewing Hemorrhoids from the Deep. Oh no, sorry Owen, what's it actually called?
Humanoids from the deep,
That's the one.
not hemorrhoids from the deep.
And that voice of course is the author of The Time Warriors, Owen Quinn. How are you today, Owen?
I'm actually freezing. It's so cold today and miserable.
Yeah, isn't it?
Um, isn't it? It's just like ugh. And then the clock. Somebody told me this morning the clocks went forward, or it wasn't. Is it back? I don't know. I can never remember that thing. So it means we get more darkness. So it's dark when you go to work, and it's dark when you come home from work. And I hate this time of year. I
Yeah.
just want to see lovely bright evenings. So roll on March or April, whenever they come back. Sooner the
Yeah.
better.
Right, so you suggested this movie and it has been 2 weeks in the making because we had to postpone it twice. Uh,
Yeah.
one was on my end, one was on your end, but we got here.
No, that was technical difficulties. It's called
Yes.
senility. Okay, so folks, tell the truth. We were apparently supposed to do this last Thursday, so I was about to. I just cooked my lovely cottage pie and was about to sit down and eat it, and the phone went, and it was Stephen, and he went. I says hello. I was like, yeah, and I went for what? He says humanoids from the deep. I went. I forgot all about that, but that's happening an awful lot with me recently. I was talking about this the other day. I keep forgetting things. And I don't know where it's a COVID fog or it's just I've too much on and
Do you
I
know
don't
what?
really write anything down.
I'd say it's
So
just, it sounds like you've a lot on because when I'm really,
there
really
is a lot
busy,
on, I have to say.
yeah, when I'm
Yeah.
really busy, I tend to forget like things that I shouldn't. But yeah, if it keeps happening, get yourself checked out, do a memory
Break
test.
off. Break off.
Yeah,
It's just a busy time. It's just a
exactly.
busy time.
That's it. So we might have different opinions on this movie, but I'm excited to talk about it either way. So, Owen, this one was your suggestion. So, could you
It
tell
was.
everyone the premise? What's the premise of this horror
The,
movie?
the
And
premise, it's a very
one sec, there will be spoilers. I keep forgetting to. Nicola was saying to me, "Would you ever remind them at the start that there'll be spoilers?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I really should." So,
oh
spoilers for
okay.
humanoids from the deep.
Poison.
And if you
Prison
enjoy
train.
this, give a like and subscribe.
Well, the movie's 45 years old, so if you had to be warned about spoilers for this, forget it. Why have you not seen it at
No,
this
no.
point?
See, I don't like that line of thinking because I think even even if it's an old movie, like there's lots of old movies I still haven't seen and I don't want them spoiled. Someone spoiled Citizen Kane on me.
All right.
I hadn't seen it,
I
and
love spoilers.
no,
Uh,
I
uh,
like to go in with as little knowledge as possible.
depend on whether I go and see a movie.
Yeah. Right. So what's the premise of this one, Owen? One more
Because
time.
Star Trek Into Darkness was like that for me. I wanted to know if it was Khan or not. Benedict Cumberbatch. I say, is he playing Khan before I go and see this? And somebody says, yeah. You really want to know? I says, that's why I'm really asking. Yes. And it was one of the few movies I've actually almost walked out of because
Mm?
it was so awful.
Mm.
Yeah, Star Trek Into Darkness,
I
so bad.
can't
So
remember if
bad.
I saw that one.
I don't see. I've just saved you the time. There you go. Isn't that wonderful?
So what's the premise of this one? Humanoids from the deep.
The premise is it's a very timely environmental story of man polluting the oceans and weird creatures becoming so in the economic difficulties because the fish are drying up. So a company comes in and offers to save the day by showing a new formula to help fish sort of populate quicker and grow quicker. So the wee goldfish suddenly becomes a shark, which will help the town, help the cannery. But things go wrong when that formula starts to mutate the salmon into the humanoids from the deep, who are not friendly, who are not sitting in the fish tank, and they're very fond of killing men and very fond of having babies with women.
Yes,
I think I'd have put that.
there are some scenes in here that
I'd have
people
put it politely.
so some scenes in here that people might find tough to watch. So go in with that
Well,
in mind.
Well, this is your first exploitation movie we've covered, but I didn't know any of this stuff. I didn't even know the words exploitation or it was a genre or anything until afterwards because I was just monsters from the deep for me. Few scenes. Um, One that's lifted right out of Alien, but it's there's a when you discover the story behind the movie, you're sort of went, that's mental. So it is essentially monsters raping women to procreate, but killing all the other men, human men, to keep them out of the way because all they want to do is reproduce. And that
Yeah.
sounds very simple and simplistic and gross, but it's not. I mean, I'm not really. I'm telling you the set of the story, but it wasn't the intention behind the movie at all. And the way it's done, I will give you a whole insight into the backstory of those scenes that you find disturbing, which is a bit.
I heard. Is it true that
It's really
they weren't originally
yeah.
in there? Is that true?
Yeah, it's very much a reflection of a time, which is sort of why I like in Humanoids of the Deep. If you, even you don't know the other stuff, I like it because it's so B movies ish. But it's also very much reflective of its time and reflective of how men see women
Right.
at that time in the industry and how to write a woman.
Yeah.
Um, Again, there's another contradiction behind that for Roger Corman, but it's a fascinating story. It actually is. The behind the scenes is much better than the movie because it really gives you an insight into the makings of Roger and that entire genre
Right. Well,
at the time.
I'll give you my thoughts on the movie because you suggested this.
Yeah,
It's not one I had heard of before you mentioned it. I believe also before we move on, actually, this has a few different names. Isn't that right?
it has.
Monster.
There's one called Monster, Humanoids from the Deep, and I did get a remake that also called Humanoids from the Deep, but it was originally called Beneath the Darkness.
That's the one. Yeah.
Um, yeah, now the reason it was called originally Beneath the Darkness because Roger Corman the studio and Roger Corman wanted to draw a big name in to star in this movie, so Beneath the Darkness sounds much better than Humanoids from the Deep because Humanoids from the Deep you just know what it is. It's just men in rubber suits coming
I
from the
uh,
ocean.
I actually quite
Yeah,
like the
so
name. I quite like the name Humanoids from the Deep. I think it's perfect B movie title.
yeah, I prefer humanoids from sleep, but then that's stuff I just grew up on. I mean, I watched Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger the other day, which is just wonderful. But this was to draw in a big name, which they got was Doug McClure.
Mm.
Um,
Is he
he
the
was a
chap
famous
that
smack guy.
is he the chap that famously died on the set of the Twilight Zone?
No, that was Vic Morrow
Oh,
with the
okay,
two
right.
children.
Right, right.
Yeah, no, drug. See, there we go, me and my names again. Doug actually died 15, 16 years after Humanoids from the Deep, about 95, 96,
Right.
because Humanoids was 1980. So once they had dug in and they had their cast and everything, it was once they shot the film. Now, Roger Corman's very much, despite what you see in the movie, very much into women's rights. And he
Right.
wanted a female director to do this one, and it was Barbara Peters.
Yeah.
So, but he basically explained to Barbara, "This is the story. The monsters are coming. They rape women and they kill men." So Barbara shot the film. Everybody shot the film, and everything was fine. Now, when you look at the making of, Roger says it was quite interesting because when Barbara did the movie, the men are killed by the monsters, and they're really it's like gory and real. It's not just she doesn't hold back, but she says the actual attack scenes involving ladies was done in shadow, so
Mm.
you never got to see anything. Well, not that you'd want to see anything. I think always the implication is what you don't see is scarier because then your own mind creates the scenario.
Yeah.
So all that was done in shadow. And we talked before about how Rob Zombie and Halloween didn't really work because the studio got involved.
Mm.
Studio here also got involved. People around Roger says it's a good film, but it's not really. We're missing stuff. So essentially, they went and filmed a second movie called Humanoids from the Deep Part 2. But what they did was they added these bits on where you get to see nudity, and that's where the sexploitation is. Roger Corman's famous for sexploitation movies, where
Yeah.
you get to see a flash of naked people.
There's
Um,
a lot of nudity in this one.
yeah, yeah, and it's all ladies, but
Mm.
that's what he was famous for. Um, but then when he did Fantastic Four, there was none of that on it.
Yeah, I
Do
can
you know what I mean?
imagine
So
he adapted to
other
that one.
people, yeah, other people can imagine that in Fantastic Four. It's
No
bad enough
thanks.
seeing your woman get birth in space in the last one, but when his colleagues now come around to him and say, "No, we need to do this." It's really effective, but it's not scary and the creatures. So we need to get the nudity in. So we hired somebody else called, and I can't pronounce this name. It's Jimmy T. Well, I thought it was Murakami, but apparently it's not. It's somebody else. I'm not going to insult the man by trying to pronounce it because I just can't pronounce it. But Shanda something. So he took a second um, directing unit out, and then did scenes that you're talking about, where the ladies are attacked on the beach and all the nudity stuff. And it's not porn nudity. It's very much the to draw the men in. So you
Mm.
see a naked woman, and you do see a monster on top of her at one point, one of his victims, um, and they shot that. The end scene where the fight takes place, the invasion takes place at the carnival, the Salmon Carnival. That lady, Miss Salmon, was the beauty queen, and she was hired for one day
Mm.
in order for, because the creatures are mutated salmon. They thought it'd be very funny to put Miss Salmon getting attacked by a creature.
Ah.
And he rips her bikini off. She runs away. Again, just pure titillation and stuff. But Roger Corman was like, no, he says, yes, we have that, and that's great, but I want to see the women fight back. So he get any roles, any female roles, he always made sure that they fought back. They may not survive the attack, but at least they went down fighting. So he's very
Right.
much for girl power and
Right.
that thing. So when the movie was released, the likes of Doug McClure and the lady that played his wife in the movie is called Cindy Weintraub. She also went to see the movie. The whole cast. There's a girl called. There's a scientist character in it, Drake. Let
Yeah,
me just see
there's
her name.
a bit in the movie where she says she's a professional scientist. That kind of made me giggle.
Yeah, as they all are.
I'm a
Her name's Anne Turkle.
I'm a
Yeah, her name's
professional
Anne
scientist.
Drake.
Yeah.
As you want to do. Who knows about the formula? So she knows exactly what's going on, and she's trying to stop it. So she was an actress called Anne Turkle. So you had Anne Turkle and you had Cindy Weintraub.
Mm.
They went to see the movie and they sort of looked at each other and went, "What's that?" Because basically what it is, they've shot two movies and they've spliced them together. Cindy Weintraub was asked by the director at the time, "Do you want to do a nude scene in the shower?" And when I say nude, it's no silhouette
Yeah.
behind the shower curtain. She says, "No, I don't do nudity. Thank you very much." And then when she went to see the movie, there was a body double in the shower,
Mm.
and everybody's supposed to think it's her. And she was like, "Uh oh!" And Barbara Peters freaked out.
Mm.
Anne Turkle. Anne Turkle actually went on the chat show Syndicate to condemn what they did.
Yeah.
That this is not the movie. Their movie was what Beneath the Darkness. And he says humanoids from the deep. Says we weren't even there when they did all the additional scenes with the flashing of nudity. So it's the story behind it is much better
Yeah.
than the actual story,
That
and
is.
the fact is it's all low budget.
Yeah.
And the fact you've seen it yourself now, so you think there's loads of creatures invading the fun fair at the climax of the movie. Do you know how many creature suits they had?
How many?
Technically one.
Oh, right.
Technically one, a complete one. But there was three made, but the other two you could only shoot from certain angles. because the sort of where the budget wasn't there.
Yeah.
So when you see that,
What do you think of the creature design?
the
And
creature design's grand. I like the creature design. It's
it's all
sort of
right. I don't think they look convincing on screen, and the design itself is like, yeah, it's all right, but
would you remember?
they're not the most convincing
No,
looking creatures.
but if you remember, Roger Corman's famous for low budget.
Yeah.
And when you look at it, Roger Corman said, yes, we're low budget, but we're high stakes when it comes to acting, when it comes to the music and the special effects. He and the guys were sort of like, do you remember when I said about if it wasn't for the likes of the old, when you're special effects guys were told, do this in the 60s, and they're looking at each other going, how are we going to do this? But
Yeah.
they managed to pull it off. Like, no, or
Yeah.
even not in the 60s, like we said about the Terminator head. The Terminator head in the first Terminator led on to other bits and other bits and other bits.
Mm.
So everything built on itself. So those arms and the suits and everything else, they were built by actually one of the top Hollywood people.
Was it Rob
Like,
Bottin?
doesn't really move and stuff like that. But
Was it?
when
Was
you look at the special effects, yeah, when you look at the
no?
special effects, I mean,
Was it Rob Bottin who did them? Yeah, from The Thing.
uh, uh, possibly, I'm not too sure.
I heard he was involved in this, but I could be wrong. I'm not sure if that's true.
I
But
I, I can see the special effects guys, because one guy was called Wallace.
hmm.
I can't remember the other one. I can see their face because I watched the
Right,
documentary
so
this morning.
I'll give you my thoughts on this movie. Okay, so I think it has some decent horror moments, and it's got some good gore here and there. I think it's got some good shots and some decent camera work. Um, I think some of the acting is quite bad.
Yeah,
And there's not much to dig into in terms of the actual writing, but I would say that overall, I don't think it's a good movie, and it's probably one I'll never return to. And I don't know if I could wholeheartedly recommend this one. I think if you're watching it in amongst lots of horror movies for Halloween, horror fans might get something out of it, but there are just so many more other things that I would recommend over this, such as Jaws, if you want killer sea creatures.
that's comparing Pound Stretcher to Harrods.
That's it. Yeah.
But there's no comparison. Corman's famous for low budget.
Well,
And
I
doing the
think
best.
though, like even if you have a low budget, like you could still do writing on the level of Jaws if you have the talent to do it. Jaws' writing is fantastic, and I think that's one of the issues with this is that, as I said, there's just not a whole lot to dig into with the writing, and I don't think I can consider this a good movie.
I like it a lot. It is a cult classic.
So I
take
think you might get enjoyment if you're a horror buff, and there's some good
Yeah.
gore here and there and stuff like that. And at the start, a child dies, so it really sets the tone of same as Jaws, where it's like no one is safe, so anyone's up for grabs. But what is it about it that you like? What do you come back to it often, and what draws you back?
I always don't always watch it. I usually have it. See if I've nothing else to watch, I'm trying to write or something, I'll stick it on
Hmm.
in the background. What draws me is it's the premise. That's the kid that I always was, the monsters from the deep. This is a variation of the creature from the Black Lagoon, or at least their attempt to do a variation of the Black Lagoon. You take the scenes where the ladies are naked out of it. That I would be interested in seeing that version, the original version that Barbara Peters actually made, because the monsters were in it from there, and that's it. And it's not a great long premise, but I mean, it's an environmental issue. It's 45 years old and it's still going on. God knows what's in the fish and in the oceans with the pollution. You've also got the racism angle as
Yeah.
well, where the Native American that's a hate crime. Here we are 45 years later, still a hate crime. There's stuff in it that is relevant to today. It's just doesn't have a great package to put it all into.
Yeah.
But I mean, everybody's good most of them are good performances. I mean, Doug McClure, uh, Cindy Weintraub, even Ann Turkel. I mean, they give it all. I mean, the Native American actor I don't know the name of, and then his nemesis, the guy with the mustache. I mean, they're giving it all. They're not there for a bit of crack, but you can see where they were told this was going to be a really serious, creepy, in-depth movie, and then suddenly, bang, you have all these other things in the middle of it that they never knew of until they actually went to the screening. So, I mean, that in itself is a story,
Mm.
but the core story for that is as relevant today as it was 45 years ago, if not more so.
Mm.
Because those hate crimes still go on. They still have the thing. Small towns, when it was originally came out, didn't get great reviews. Obviously, it's not like, oh my god, I have to have this, and it's not on my Blu-ray list. But I just
Mm.
enjoy it because I love sea monsters. I love monsters coming out of the sea.
Yeah,
The remake,
I'm quite fond of sea monsters as well, especially because,
yeah,
as I said on another recording, like sea monsters get to me. Things in the ocean, like
mm,
Jaws and even Godzilla, just monsters
giant
in the water,
octopuses,
giant
giant
octopuses, yeah,
octopus. I love a giant
octopi,
octopus in the Kraken.
yeah,
But I mean, in the remake in 1986, I think I could be wrong on that one. They toned the story down. So the original is typical Roger Corman, and it's really surprising that he didn't want to do that in the first instance. Um, he doesn't believe in he believes in the best person for the best job. In this case, he wanted the woman would have been the best person because of the material and the violence against women
yeah,
aspect of it. It
yeah,
was interesting, as he said in the thing. It was interesting to see a lady's thinking compared to a man's thinking when he was convinced to go back and do the additional scenes. But in the remake, all of that is gone. They
oh.
do capture the women. The suits are much better. Um, but
Would
the
you
women
say
are
the
encased in like
remake
a cocoon
overall?
thing.
Would you say the remake overall is a better film? Is it better written? Is there more to it?
God, no,
No.
no, no. You lose the racism. It's replaced with a father. Replaced with environmentalist and the daughter of the lead character who was supposed to take Doug McClure's place. Doesn't want his daughter dating this environmentalist because this cannery is going to be good for the town and it's going to bring him money. And it does lose, and it doesn't lose it because there's no nudity. It loses it because it just doesn't work
Right.
because the women are cocooned in like a jail and put in like this honeycomb, and the jail somehow gets them, no, impregnates them. So they're all a bit like Battlestar Galactica, where the Ovians used to put you in hives and the bodies used to dissolve. So it loses the racism. It loses um, the pregnancy thing is sort of, you're looking at going, well, how's that get somebody pregnant with putting them into a jail? The same ending, kind of.
So
Um,
we'll actually talk about the ending now because, as Owen
yeah,
said during the premise, like these sea creatures, they're coming to shore because they want to breed with women, and at the end, so as I said, spoilers if you don't want to hear the ending, but the ending is very grim. We end the
mm,
movie with a woman who was pregnant with one of the sea creatures' babies, and we see it's a very gory scene. We see
yeah.
the creature bursting out of her stomach, and yeah, it's a very grim ending. What do you think of it?
Yeah, it's one of the downer endings. They were accused at the time of stealing that from Alien.
Ah,
Remember the chest burster scene?
yeah,
But
yeah,
I don't think in a film like that you're going to get away with not doing that. Um, it is a grim ending. It is nearly the same ending as the remake. Sorry, the only other difference with the remake was that the monsters were prisoners that were given this serum, this growth serum, and they escaped and became the monsters from the deep. They mutated into monsters. So it was a trial done on prisoners, which was another change. Whereas this case, it's the fish themselves. Um, I always thought when I watched this first one, I thought, well, I was sure that that's the only baby that they've got. Maybe there's other ones
Mm,
that have hatched, and there's no way. It's like one of them ones. How do you know you've killed them all?
mm.
Because you don't really. Because even with the battle scene at the end is very good. There's no two ways about it. I mean, you have the reconciliation with the closure on the racism thing when they're forced to work together. It's that old.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm. We're enemies, but if we're all enemies, but if Russia's fighting America and aliens come, does any of that really matter in the face of a bigger threat? So there is good themes in it. It's just the execution. It's like
yeah,
you want to make a four-course dinner, but all you have in the fridge is a tin of beans and two eggs and a bit of broccoli.
yeah, yeah.
Do you
I
know what I mean? You're
know what
not
you
going to
mean.
have a major meal
Yeah.
with that. So you have to look at it as what it is. It's a Roger Corman production on a low budget, which is famed for. It is his most successful one, but it's
Is
for
this his
me.
most
I would love
successful
to.
movie?
Yeah, I would love to see. It was most successful creature feature, I should say. I would love to see stuff like that given a bigger budget,
Mm,
and done again, but done right. Because even the budget for the remake, you just knew it wasn't. There's nobody in it. You know one of them, I think. I knew one, but I didn't know anybody else.
yeah.
So you knew it was one of them ones.
Although,
Sorry, I tell a lie. I did know Emma Sam's from
yeah,
Dynasty and Krull,
yeah,
which you just found on YouTube, by the way.
yeah.
Um,
Although
but
sometimes,
yeah,
sometimes a low budget can lead to lots of creativity. Like I think this
yeah,
has some good shots and some good direction here and there.
yeah. There's good stuff there. Yeah, but
But
overall, it's not. It's
so
not amazing, but I think it's good.
when was the first time you saw this movie?
Oh God, years ago. Years ago.
Yeah.
Well, I can't. Well, let's see, 1980, probably in the early 80s.
Hmm.
I'd been allowed to watch them sort of things because
Yeah.
you would have seen. Do you know what I bet you I've seen it on video because the early 80s was the video shops.
Yeah.
For those who aren't old enough to know what that is, you could go to a shop and rent movies on a tape, on a tape.
Whoa.
Imagine instead of pressing a button, it comes out magically out of the air. And you took them home and you put them in your video recorder, your VCR, very technically sounding. And you played the movie. Sometimes the tape would get caught in your inwards and get destroyed. You
Yeah.
had to go back to the video shop and say, "Sorry, but your tape's
Or
broke."
sometimes you'd
Um,
have to clean the tape because the
yeah, I
image on
know. Do you
screen. Yeah.
remember, Britney? Yeah, you had a cleaner tape that you put fluid in, and then you put it in first and let it play for a minute or something,
Hmm.
and then you take it out, and then you can have it clean the heads inside the machine because dust would gather. Um, and then you put your video in to watch it. Far cry from today. So I'm quite sure it was done on one of our weekly video shop visits.
There you go. Right. So humanoids from the deep. Would you? I'm gonna say no to recommending this one just because there are better movies of this type that I would recommend over it. But if you're curious about it, you might have fun with the gore and some of the absurdity of it. There's little bits of humor in here, in here and there as well. But
Yeah,
yeah, I would maybe I think say no to this one.
I'm going to say yes because there is a lot in it, despite the low budget. I
Yeah,
remember it wasn't just a kid that died at the start; it was his father as well. So there's a wee
yeah,
mother
yeah,
there with the foster husband and her son, um, with no income because he was a fisherman. But the dog also gets murdered. Remember?
yeah,
So their golden retriever, who freaks out and goes. I mean, there's for me, there's still enough there. It's not going to be the greatest movie, of course. It's not the greatest movie of all time,
hmm,
and the gratuity stuff, the sexploitation, we know. But when you look at the thing as a whole, that is perfect for its genre.
hmm,
But as the remake proved, you still need a bigger budget to make that particular story work. A story which is very relevant to today's market.
yeah. There you go. Owen's recommending this one, so maybe chuck it on your Halloween list and give it a shot. I don't have a whole lot to say about this one. As I said, like I kind of summed up my thoughts there, and you know, I like to focus a lot on the writing, and there's just not too much to say about the writing in this one. Like it's, I wouldn't say it's a very well written movie, but give it a go and see what you think, and let us know in the comments what you think of Humanoids from the Deep, and have you seen any of the other versions of this movie? Owen, do you have anything
Mm.
else to say
All
about this movie?
they're all available on YouTube to watch the
This
original
one's
and
on
remake.
Amazon Prime as well. That's where I watched it.
Oh, is that what you got as well?
Yeah.
Now there was a sequel due to happen, but then they dropped the sequel in favor of doing the remake. And the sequel was supposed to star Malcolm McDowell.
Mm.
But as I said, it all fell through. And exploitation is a genre of low-budget, independently produced movies that primarily focus on non-explicit sexual situations and gratuitous nudity,
Mm.
particularly popular during the 1960s and early 70s, which it was. Um, and that's what this is. But I find it fascinating. I think it's fascinating when you look at the thinking behind it. Roger Corman, all for women's rights and all for girl power, and then being persuaded by the men behind the scenes. Yeah, but you still need to put this stuff in, and it's very much a schizophrenic movie. I don't even think that's the right word, but
Right.
it's a movie of two minds. Barbara Peters had it, and she, as I said, like a man, which is what she was asked to do, and the balance on the ladies was done in shadow and what do you call that? Is it implication,
Mm.
insinuation, or
They
something?
imply it, yeah.
Um, implication, yeah. So it's fascinating from that aspect, um, and the fact that Corman, once he seen the final movie, he went, "Yeah, actually, I should have put those second set of things in." But I don't think any of them came back to work with him after that, to be honest with you. But I don't know how much that's got to do with this is what we filmed and this is what you didn't bother tell us was actually going to go out.
Yeah.
You didn't even because he told nobody, none of the cast were told this was done. Um, so it's kind of I find that interesting for its time and of how men think, how women think, and yet there's a man caught in the middle between two sort of things. But that's what the money was making in them days
Mm.
when you produce sort of things like that. But take the monsters part, love it. Take the rest, I'm not really fussed on it. But
Yeah.
the story behind it, the story of what it is, where these are actual sea creatures that be mutated by a
Mutant
cannery
salmon
who,
monsters.
yeah, salmon. You sort of look at it again. To this day, I look at something, humanoid from the deep, maybe. Um, but it's
They could have at
just,
least made them the color of salmon.
do you know what? But green in them. Do you know what? Monsters were green. They
Yeah,
sort of
yeah,
had
yeah.
this again of the time. It was like every monster should be green. But I love to see all different colored monsters. The more colorful, the better. Going forward, because the nature itself is not all green, and lizards aren't all green, snakes
Yeah,
aren't all
no, I
green,
agree.
frogs
I
aren't
like to
all green.
see unusual designs and
Yeah,
bright and
yeah,
colorful.
unusual design. But again, it's sort of like, here, Roger, I'd love to do a red monster, and I was going to get the money for the green paint because
Mm.
the red paint's too dear. That's what you're up against. But it's the imagination behind the story. Yes, it's low budget, but they delivered and they put it on screen. Not what, as I said, most of the cast thought was going to be seen on screen, and certainly not what Barbara Peters thought was going on screen.
Yeah.
But you take, as I said, take all them bits out. You do have still a pretty strong story of environmental man being greedy, and like your pharmaceutical companies today, and there's all sorts of people experimenting on in the 60s and the 70s and the 50s, that certain things were tested to see what the result was on towns, like controlled groups. I mean, it's there. It's just,
Yeah.
I actually
So
think the nudity and stuff takes away from it. I mean, teenage love is like, forget. Oh, oh.
yeah,
No, don't want to see that.
it's a bit OTT, I think.
Yeah,
But
but but you have that, but you also a great special effect with the guys half his face is ripped open.
Yeah, that was a good
Where he
one. Yeah,
comes up.
there are some good
Thing.
gore effects in here. So if you're
Mm,
into your gore, maybe you might want to give it a try and see what you think.
yeah,
And Owen recommends this one, so give it a watch on his recommendation. I'm going to recommend you
yeah.
watch Jaws.
Well, you've seen Jaws. The whole purpose is life to try things you haven't seen before.
Well, if you haven't seen Jaws, watch Jaws. If you have seen Jaws, watch Jaws again.
Okay, you're kind of missing the point now. Do you know what I mean?
No, no, yeah, yeah. So Owen recommends it,
But I
so
mean,
give it a go.
like, but as you know, Roger Corman has a huge following.
Yeah,
All his movies have a huge following because he's sort of,
and
for some reason, this
he's done
niche in the market.
he's done a ton of movies as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, yeah, a ton of even the.
I think
I would
I
love.
always thought like Galaxy Terror was his most famous one. Would it be Galaxy of
Do you know
Terror? Or is it
what
Galaxy Terror? You know the one I'm talking
is
about
it?
anyway.
Is that no what Galaxy Terror is no Terror Galaxy? Is that what's one? I can think of as Rose McGowan's gun,
No, no, not that one.
the leg
The one
gun.
with the big
I know that's
slug and
not
the
him.
big famous
That's
slug scene.
oh, yeah.
The
Well,
space slug.
all I get is footballer Roger Corman. Jeez, Mary Host and Joseph,
Right.
these people.
There you go. Let us know if you watch it, and if you want to see more horror reviews, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to watch some more reviews of horror movies and some little hidden gems and some not so hidden gems, there will be a playlist popping up on screen in a second. And if you want to check out my horror novel, Miles and Mary Ashbury, there will be an image on screen in 3, 2, 1. Boop. There, got it. Link in the description if you want a horror novel for yourself. Owen, what are you working on? And where can people find you, you big idiot, you? Owen?
Did I just get insulted there?
No, 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 no. Not at
Do you know
all.
what? Wait, tell you something. Where do you hear this? Well, you know, I announced last time I was doing a new kid series called Tales from Ballinfree.
Yeah.
So I've 4 completed. I'm still working on a Time Warriors book at the same time, like, but I've 4 completed. The next 6 planned out. So I'm doing a Halloween one because what I usually I put as brainstorm, have the ideas out there and see which one I'm more attracted to at the time. That's how I work.
Yeah.
So Halloween, because it's Halloween, and I actually woke up the other night, thought I was gonna have a lovely a night of sleep. Woke up about 2 o'clock in the morning and went, how do I put ghosts into a Halloween story, but without scaring children, but by the end of that story, have them all feel safe and secure?
Yeah.
There's going to be ghosts.
There you go.
And it
That's
took me forever to figure it out. And
yeah.
then I figured it out. I went, hold on, I must Google something. So I Googled something and went, happy days, there's the story.
Yeah.
So it took me nearly all night. And we've talked about this before, about things playing in your head and trying to construct it. And when it finally clicked, and I went, why does it take so long for something like that to click in my head? Because
Yeah.
if you look at it, Google the certain elements, you can do it. So you're gonna have ghosts at Halloween, but you're gonna be all happy and fuzzy by the end of it.
Yeah. There you go. It's I'm like that as well, where you get fixated on trying to achieve a certain thing and you just spend days thinking about how do I solve this puzzle, and I find it a lot of fun as well. And then you finally crack it and you're like, yes, there, that's how we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when people read it and come back, actually, I like that one. Oh, do you have no idea how long I sweated over that? Crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And what's the name of your website, Owen?
Website is www.timewarriors.co.uk, Time Warriors and Beyond.
There you go.
We can actually read excerpts from all of my books so far. So we have 11 Time Warriors, 3 Zombie Blues, and you're going to have at least 10 Ballinfree by next year.
At least 10? Is that what you said?
At least 10.
Wow.
Yeah, at least 10 books.
Awesome. How are you enjoying writing something? Because this is your first kids series, isn't it? So
it is.
how are you finding the difference?
I did a stage play for Northern Ireland Arts called The Dragons of Azrael. So the the premise was this guy had these full-size dragon heads and dragon puppets, but they had no story. So it's almost like going to the fridge, as I said about the 2 eggs, a tin of beans, and a bit of broccoli. How do you make a meal out of that?
Mm.
So I sort of thought about it, and it was actually pretty quick. I said, well, that's obvious. I said, if it's a kid, it's designed for kids. You're going to be bringing schools in. Then it has to be about art and imagination and music. So this World of Dragons have lost the ability to imagine. But this
Ah.
new baby dragon that's born is the dragon that's going to bring back art and music and stories. And you
Well,
know,
well, Owen, I'm not a child, right? Despite what you might
yeah,
say, but I'd be
well,
interested in
has been
reading that.
said.
I'd be interested in reading that. That sounds very interesting.
I actually, it wasn't a book, actually. It was a stage play, and I had a video of it.
Yeah.
And I haven't got it anymore. And it was interesting because you had to time it to 30 minutes. So
Hmm.
I sort of had to write it and walk about the kitchen and read it to myself and watch the stopwatch. So the difference is for Ballon Free, which is obviously books, it is a different genre. Comic strips is a different genre as well. You're tied by certain restrictions.
Hmm.
So here you're trying not to overcomplicate the story. You're trying to use language which kids will pick up or identify with.
Yeah.
You don't want to use. You're not going to use words like inadvertently, and it's a cacophony of chaos. So no,
Indubitably.
yeah, well, because somebody says, I said to somebody, yeah, I only write as I speak. And she says, well, I don't use cacophony of chaos. And I've never heard you say it. I know, right now, I suppose you have a point. Um, but it's trying to keep the language simple. Not, no, you can scare them, but by the end of the story, you have to make sure they're happy
Yeah, you
and they're
kind of
not
don't want
scared.
to
So,
push it. You don't want to push it
yeah,
too far.
sure. Oh,
What sort of age group is it?
well, see, that somebody asked me that the other week, and I says, to be honest with you, anybody that will read it, but I've actually sampled it with a friend of mine, whose child is 8. So I'm thinking around the 8 plus
Hmm.
sort of range where you've got, because the characters have backpacks and they've cell phones and they know what Google, not Google, but Google. So you're sort of transplanting that sort of what kids are from elements of what kids are familiar with, and like you be friends with people and be nice to people and help people, and that sort of message, but
So
wrap it
you're
in this
writing a
sort
story
of
about being nice to people? You?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm nice
You are,
sometimes.
you are.
Um, it's not just the thing is don't talk down to the kids. Try and put yourself to think like a kid
One of my
and to think.
criticisms of a lot of kid stuff is that I think kids are more capable than people give them credit for, and to maybe
Yeah.
make your thing a little bit more sophisticated for them, because I think they can handle more than you think.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I just look at my nephews and nieces, and there's so many of them, and they're all so many different personalities. But there's things about that age group they all like. So it's sort of I watch the kids and see what they do and see what they come out with. No, it's sort of like putting me and rather than them bringing to my level, which is too much, sort of go to their level and say, well, actually, they could do that better. Because somebody had said to me, oh, a child wouldn't know what the word mischievous is. And I went, how would you know?
I think a lot of
I
them
says,
would, especially at
so would I.
8 years old. Yeah.
Yeah, a cheeky, mischievous sort of thing. I think they would. I agree with you. I just try not to talk to them. Try to make an interesting story, an exciting story. Um, because it was like I just this is how sad my life is at the minute. I woke up in the middle of the night last night and went, wonder how many episodes of Peppa Pig there is. So I Googled it,
There's a lot.
434, and I went, how what have they written for? How can you get 434 episodes? Because I was going to go, maybe there's only about
They're only like about 10 minutes long each.
or 10. I was thinking, that's that. How do they do that? I don't understand that.
Yeah.
But I don't think
I
Ballinafree is
seen
going to go for 434.
I seen a little while ago a photorealistic interpretation of Peppa Pig and the family, and it was absolutely horrifying.
I know.
Look it up
Imagine.
if you haven't seen it.
Oh well, I'm going to look at that.
All
Or
right,
you can just type
we're
it.
that's it for today, folks. We'll be back again soon. Oh, what do you think we should cover next?
Do you know what I watched?
What's that?
Quatermass and the Pit.
Say again?
Quatermass and the Pit.
Ah, interesting one.
And you know what? It still works. And the only reason I watched it is because a friend of mine is going to London next week to a film fair, and Julian Glover is there. Julian Glover was the big villain, Bond villain in View to a Kill. He was in The Last Crusade. He was Scaroth in Doctor Who in the City of Death, Tom Baker, when he went to Paris for the first ever location filming. And he's 90 something now. I haven't met him, but I've never got his autograph. So he's taken an Indiana Jones comic for him to sign the cover for me.
Very cool.
And I watched it and thought, and I was hooked.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in ages. I do love it. I've written an article about it ages ago, but it's such a good movie.
Yeah, Owen does a lot of articles on his website as well, so go check those out as well. What year is that one from?
Has to be. He's 90 something now.
Yeah.
That has to be.
I was even
early 60s, maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking quite early on.
It's not a hurry. I'm a hurry.
I
that did it.
I've been thinking about stuff like Big Trouble in Little China. I really want to cover Alien soon, The Thing. Some more hidden gems. Someone's say again.
I did see a repost about the
a little teaser. Yeah, that's one of my mugs. The Pork Chop Express. Well, I don't know what's going to be at the head of the queue, but yeah. So if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe and click the playlist on screen if you wanna hear us ramble about some more movies. All right, thanks everyone. Thanks again to Owen Quinn, author of The Time Warriors and Tales from Ballinafree. Take care, everyone.